No, don't lecture me as to why I'm tired. You don't know anything about me. You tell me why you're tired. You tell me why you're tired. I clear my throat to regain composure. The small images in front of me are all of people in lab coats and random social media influencers, smiling or yawning for the camera. Beside the images are titles meant to captivate. This is why you're always tired, and the reason why you always feel tired. My aggravation towards the absurdity of social media gives me a strong compulsion, and I decide to step out of the house for a bit. I'm surprised to walk outside and feel the weather is at an equilibrium on my skin. An optimism washes over me. Everything will be okay. Within me is a subtle gratitude that this day was physically and most literally made for us. And I get to experience it on my day off when I'm not forced to sit in that office with its dying oxygen. My car door pops shut behind me, and suddenly, just like that office, it's hard to breathe in here. At the start of my ignition, I roll the window down. Ah, that's better. Yes, this is my day off. I deserve some peace. I plug my phone in and play a podcast to get updated on what is happening in the world. As I drive, one of the hosts began talking about the federal funds rate and its impact on inflation. He's making predictions of what the Federal Reserve will do in response to inflation having come down. He keeps using the phrase, 0.25%. Some people love their lexicon. Does he realize that 0.25% has less syllables than 0.25%? He could speak more efficiently if he didn't love using this vernacular that shows he's in the know. He has to prove that he's in the club. If only he didn't care so much about being in the club, he might be willing to utter the words, "The inflation numbers are a lie." But instead, he won't stop saying it. 0.25%, 0.25%. Suddenly, it's hard to breathe in here again. After driving for only 5 minutes, I arrive at my destination. Before I go into the coffee shop, I check my email. There are a few members of my team working today. They may have gotten some good activity by this point, maybe even a sale. Ah, yes. A sale is exactly what we need on this beautiful Saturday. A sale will make not only the day better, but will set us up for a great week. Who cares about the economy and inflation? It's out of my control. My team's success is what is real and important. Oh, whoa. All three individuals have zero activity. At this same moment, a new email comes in from my own leader to our whole team with the subject line, "No activity?" and in bold letters. The body of the email says, "Is anyone even working today? This is not a hypothetical question. Please respond." That'll be enough email for a bit. In the grand story of the universe, my role is so tiny it's negligible. If my sales team is having a bad day, that'll have no impact on the macroeconomy. I'm sure our government will make changes soon that will cause tides to rise for all. I put the headphones back on so I can listen to a podcast. I want to better understand what is currently happening with the economy as a whole. 0.25%. The cashier in the coffee shop is complaining to the barista, working the espresso machine, about a colleague who called in this morning. I take my headphones off so that I can eavesdrop on the situation. "Hi, what can I get you?" he asks me, with the same cheer that is forced every morning. I tell him, then he continues complaining to the barista. She speculates back. She's going to get fired soon. Every time I work mornings, she's late to her shift. Last week, she was supposed to be here with me at 6 and didn't get here until 8. I had to open completely by myself. Ah, yes, that's much better. These two coffee shop workers are getting ramped up and complaining about problems that don't matter. I can see my own drama reflecting off of them. Although it feels like the world is coming down on me right now, their indulgence in drama reminds me that I am certainly indulging in drama as well. Who cares if my team doesn't get any activity today? Who cares if I woke up tired and sad but can't find the problem or the solution? I am surviving today. It's not quite living, but I am surviving. There's a retired pensioner laughing when I come back outside with my coffee. He is pulling off small pieces of his muffin and dipping them in his tiny cup of espresso before each bite. At his table is also a more serious retired old man and a middle-aged yoga teacher from the studio next door. I've never seen the jovial pensioner give any hint of worry. He doesn't just talk with whoever he is with at the time. He laughs with them. He laughs so much and so genuinely that those around him can't help but laugh at the contagion of it. I sit at the table beside them so that I can catch some of the contagion. As they speak, I keep wondering why this old man has so much energy. It's not frantic energy either. He's not anxious or in a panic. No, there's a gratitude bubbling from deep inside him, and it pours out through laughter. Yet, it's not a laughter of drunkenness or unwarranted happiness. He's simply and clearly ecstatic to be here. I question and imagine if I'd want to be this man. Although I'd like to be more grateful, I would exchange nothing with this man. If only because he's old, and although I'm getting there, I'm not there yet. I can't really hear much of what they're saying, but in the permeation of laughter throughout the patio, I can understand them. They're saying nothing and everything. A strange fantasy comes through my mind. I imagine pulling out a sheet of paper and covering the page with a question in big letters. Quit my job? ? Then I tear the page and walk over to their table. Without saying a word, I hold the paper above my head for them to see. There is a pause, and then they all become hysterical. The jovial pensioner gives the most high-pitched laugh and then falls on the ground as he struggles to breathe. I stay standing with the paper above my head, waiting for one of them to respond, but they never do. They only laugh. The fantasy dissolves and I take a walk around the village. My heart is now opening to the possibility of quitting my job. I've thought about it before, but when I've thought about it, my mind was overwhelmed with all the potential negative consequences. Lose my house, betray my team, step off of this life path and end up regretting it, starve, go to prison because maybe quitting a job is somehow illegal, get captured and buried alive, never reach the potential of becoming who I could be, get sick and cease living, whatever. As I walk, the existential exhaustion dissolves the more I entertain this idea of quitting my job. I'm playing tennis with the decision. One moment I fully accept that I will quit. The next moment I fully accept that I need to accept that I won't work here forever, but I do need to keep working here for now. It's a math problem, and I'm trying to understand every pro and con of each path. I want to comprehend the extent of which my life will change if I quit this position that I've been cultivating for nearly 5 years. I finally make it back to the coffee shop and the pensioner trio is gone. At their table is a bird pecking up the little pieces of muffin that were left behind. At the sight of the bird, I realize that there is no way to understand every pro and con without making the decision. I pull out my laptop to fire up my email. I will make the jump with nothing to protect me from the fall. Why do we become tired? Why do we become tired? The definition of what it means to be tired. What does it mean to be tired? Tired. Exhausted by exertion, weary, or bored. So if the definition of tired is weary or bored, what does it mean to be bored? What is the definition of bored? feeling weary because one lacks interest in one's current activity. So why do we become tired? This story is like a chaos of problems orienting around a massive solution. And there's so many micro problems happening that the reason why I say it's orbiting around the solution is because it comes to be realized that the solution can be found in quitting my job. It can be found in quitting my job, but it could also come from, it doesn't have to come from that pathway. There could be other pathways, which is why when I'm walking around this village neighborhood, I'm trying to weigh these pros and cons, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to walk the wrong life. And quitting your job could be a major decision, and the fear isn't even of necessarily quitting this one job, but almost the fear of becoming a quitter. As in this situation, I'd worked at this job for 5 years, which is certainly a fair amount of time. Something can run its course in 5 years, and then at the end of the 5 years, you can judge it, and if it doesn't serve you, quitting that endeavor certainly doesn't make you a quitter. But that was certainly my biggest fear. Going down, I'm at a crossroads and I could take one path or another. One path is to stay working at the job. Another path is to quit. And that direction where it branches off and I quit, what if I quit this job and then in a year from now I regret it? Or even worst case scenario, I try to go back to that job. Or what if this opens up a spiral and I become a quitter and a person who's always quitting jobs? And then I live my whole life being a person that I shouldn't be a quitter. So that's the main thing I'm weighing in my head as I'm walking around this village. But quitting the job, it's the major thing, but there are other options. So to understand what the other options are, it's important to see the context of the story and what was making me tired to begin with. So clearly I've got all of these little problems that I've built up, and when I wake up in the morning, sometimes right now, to varying degrees, I feel dread. Dread like I don't want to participate in the day. But that which makes me dreadful is twofold, which is the combination of the warmth of my bed, the comfort that exists being wrapped up in a taco/burrito of blankets, warm, outside is cold. Even if it's not that cold, it's not as comfortable as laying in this bed. So there's a comfort aspect of it as well. But there's also a scale of how excited are you to approach this day that you're waking up to. And in this story, it's a Saturday. I don't have any goals in my life. All of my goals are related to my job. And so because all of my goals are related to my job, I don't have any goals outside of my job. So on a day where I have a day off, there's nothing for me to accomplish. And we get dopamine from striving towards meaningful goals and making progress in the direction of meaningful goals. But if I'm waking up to a day where I don't have any meaningful goals, I literally have nothing to do, how would you be excited about a day? You wouldn't. So there's a certain gravity to laying in bed, which is like the comfort combined with the dread that you have towards any given day, combined with, and the thing that can contend against that is the excitement of the day. So if comfort is like a -3 and I've got nothing to do today, so I've got no dopamine, I'm not actively moving in the direction of higher ordered goals, then my dread for the day is like a -3 plus the -7 or negative, we'll say 4. So now I'm at like a -7. If my excitement towards today, if I'm pursuing things that are meaningful, is like an 8, meaning I'm very excited. Can't think of another word, but excited. Excited to live the day. Eager. I'm eager to live the day. Then I'm floating out of bed because I'm at +1. -7, add 8, +1. So I'm at this point, Wordless Chorus by My Morning Jacket is playing, and I'm just floating out of bed. But if it's -7 of comfort and dread, but you're only +4 excited for the day, you're not very excited for the day, then you're at like a -3, and the bed itself, it's really difficult to get out of bed. It's like you have to exert energy just to get out of bed. Just to, not even the movement of your body, but the conjuring of will to move you out of your bed when there is no good reason to move out of your bed. So that's the day that I'm waking up to. And then it starts with me being on social media. I'm scrolling on YouTube, obviously. I'm looking for solutions to my problems. I get into a vehicle, start listening to a podcast. The hosts of the podcast are annoying me, which obviously says more about myself than it does any faceless host. I'm being a hater. On this day, I feel bad, so I'm being a hater. Then I go to a coffee shop, check my email before I go in there because I'm just so much yearning for dopamine. I'm like, man, maybe I can get some, maybe I can see myself moving in the directions of beneficial goals as a result of the work that I've done in the past through my team. Maybe they're winning today and I can win vicariously through them. So I'm trying to find solutions from people on YouTube. I'm trying to live vicariously through people in podcasts. I'm trying to live vicariously through my team. I go into the coffee shop. I get a positive, cathartic feeling from these workers who are arguing for what I see to be trivial reasons. So all of it is me living vicariously through other people. And to go back to this image of problems, chaotic problems, orbiting around a solution, all of these things are small problems. And I bring that up because one of the solutions to the overall overarching problem of my life, one thing I could do is fix all of these micro problems. Fix these micro problems and orient my life in a way that is living well and would make me feel good. Make any human feel good. Set rules. Don't get on your phone until after you've done something creative for the day. Don't listen to any podcast before noon. Don't listen to a podcast before you've trained for the day. There's a lot of different rules I could put into place. So that's the first thing I could do. So why do we become tired? It's all of these little things. Second thing I could do is I could set a goal, which again is that's essentially my whole problem. I'm lacking dopamine. I could set a meaningful goal. I could set out to write a book, learn an instrument, or be able to play a song, run a marathon. I could just set a meaningful goal and then let the hierarchy of that goal orient my whole day. So put the goal up, the ideal. I need to do whatever it takes to accomplish that goal. So all the rules of my day are subordinate to accomplishing this medium to long term goal that I've made up. So that's the second solution. And the third solution is what I'm contemplating on this walk, which is to quit my job, to burn the boats. Just burn the boats. And if I quit my job, there won't be another option. So those other two things will inevitably fall into place, because then I'll certainly literally have no goal, no purpose. So I have to find a new purpose, create a new ideal, discover a new ideal. And then, like stated as the first solution, let that new goal drip down and have all the rules of my life be meaningful because they're oriented around this long-term vision. The reason quitting my job is relevant to that is because I'd tried to set goals in the past. I tried to do the first two options, but this issue with them is that they didn't work long term. They would work for maybe a day, but then they would stop working because it was as if I'd been setting up a goal for the sake of having a goal. I know the importance of goals, so I'm setting up maybe something like an arbitrary goal, and then I'm pursuing it, but as time passes, few days pass, weeks pass, I just realize I don't even care about that goal. It's not really that important. It won't help my life. But if I were to burn the ships, I would have no option. I would have to do the first two things. I'd have to find a goal, and I'd have to orient my life around it, because at that point it becomes survival. It's very simple. It's either set up a meaningful goal to, you've now fallen to the bottom, your ships are burned, set up a meaningful goal, get to a better place, or cease living on this island. Cease living. Survive or don't survive. Two options. So why do we become tired? It's all of those little things adding up through time. And if you don't have the dopamine of pursuing a goal, which in this story I certainly did not have a meaningful goal that I was pursuing, then it becomes twofold, which is you wake up in a given day and you're in this situation that I'm describing, which is the bed has more gravity than the energy, than the excitement, eagerness for the day that would allow you to float out of bed. So you've got to conjure up some energy just to even leave the bed, which is a problem. And not having a goal is the problem. But even worse than not having a goal, the second fold issue is if you're somebody who hasn't had a goal for a long time, either because you haven't made goals, wandering around, or you've tried to make goals but you've never followed through with them, or you rarely follow through with them, and so you don't trust yourself. You're a person who says things but never really does what they say. You just say things for the sake of saying it. So you don't trust yourself, so you wake up in the morning in a state of complete dread. You'd like to be in a better place. You'd like to have a vision for your life, but you don't even entertain that thought because you know that you can't be trusted. Even if you were to set a goal, you're not going to follow through with it, so setting a goal is a waste of time. So why do we become tired? Lack of purpose. Why do we become tired and bored? Lack of purpose, lack of meaningful purpose. If you're pursuing something that is certainly important to you, maybe you'll be physically tired, maybe you'll be physically exhausted, but it's as though the exhaustion doesn't actually exist because, like the gravity of being in bed, the excitement and the eagerness to keep pursuing this path that you are on outweighs the dread and the comfort, and you are at a level of positivity. So even if you've got these things happening in your life that would make you tired, you're in such a meaningful position, you're on edge, and so you don't get tired. Obviously, the contrary is that if you don't have those things, if we don't have those things, we will always be tired. If we don't have a meaningful goal, a meaningful purpose, we will always be tired. Why would you not be tired? So what can be done to rekindle energy? So for this question of why are we always tired? Why am I always tired? What could be done to rekindle energy? The reason why I bring up the idea of the boats is because there's I don't know what year this was. This might have been in the 1600s, I think, but Hernan Cortez went to Mexico with his conquistadors from Spain, and Cortez wanted to be a conquistador. He wanted to conquer, but he was losing energy among his troops. He was losing the will to fight among his troops. At this point, when they're in Mexico City, what is now Mexico City. It was the Aztec Empire at the time, I am fairly certain. They had made it to Mexico City, but they had already gotten a bunch of gold and they were extremely rich. And so his soldiers are just like, let's go back to Spain. We've got everything that we need. We don't really need to do anything more here. I know, and then word starts to travel that Cortez wants to conquer, conquistador. He wants to conquer Mexico City, but because he doesn't have the unwavering support of his troops, they're not motivated. They don't have a proper motivation. They don't have a reason to fight. They see themselves as winners. They have become complacent. So they're in Mexico City, and Cortez, with his 7 ships, says, I know that you guys want to go back to Mexico, but look at that. Somebody has burned our ships. And he gives that speech to his soldiers. He's like, somebody burned our ships. Actually, we had to burn them because they were infested with bugs. Yes, that is the story. They were infested with bugs, so he decided to burn the ships, and he told them that was the reason why they... I'm wrong about this. He didn't burn the ships. He sank the ships because they were infested with bugs. Or maybe he said that they got holes in them because of the bugs. But nonetheless, they're in Mexico City. He wants to conquer. His troops don't want to conquer. He gets rid of the ships. He gets rid of his transportation, all 7 of them, that would take them back to Spain. So basically, and then at that point he tells them, all right, you've caught me. We didn't have bugs. I was the one that sank the ship. And the reason why I sank all of our ships is because we need to conquer. We need to conquer, and now that you know the truth, what you can do is turn on me. You can do an uprising against me, but if you do an uprising against me, your great leader, then you will have no leader, and you all will surely fail and be captured and tortured by the Aztecs. But if you don't uprise against me, I can lead you, and we can all do this together. And we can go into what is now Mexico City, and we can conquer this land. This could be our land now. So he gives them that speech. They get riled up. They decide to conquer that land. And sometimes that's what you have to do. Sometimes, I mean, you can try those first two options. I tried to redesign my life, fix the micro problems with my life, make small day-to-day changes. I tried to make massive changes in regards to my attention and look to better directions so that the higher and more idealistic directions that I was looking towards would orient better days. None of that worked, and so I had no other option except to burn down the ships. I had to make the jump without the rope. And it's a radical jump to make. It's a radical life decision to make. But it certainly, as I was walking, I certainly wasn't tired anymore. And truthfully, I haven't been tired since. So, I'm in a coffee shop. I'm wandering around in the day. I'm making changes in my life. This is still connected to the story of Joel. Joel, in the last episode, we learned about his growing interests into gardening, how he became a gardener, and how he became prodigal from the garden master. Now soon we will see how I got into this dynamic with Joel of going to visit his garden and how any of this is relevant. Onward.